Hello, I'm Nika. Welcome to my channel. If you happen to be autistic or to have an autistic child, or maybe you struggle with any of mental disorders, please subscribe to my channel because this is one of the topics of this channel. You may even check right now my playlist about autism. Maybe you have already realized that I am a non-native English speaker. And those videos you may see right now, I had recorded long time ago, a couple of years before I went vegan. So if you want to accuse me of attempt to impose veganism onto you or on your child, this might be the wrong accusation. Today I will discuss slightly veganism and meat effect on development. Why slightly? That is the reason that whatever I would say, the opposition will always accuse me of spreading vegan propaganda. Therefore, maybe if you are not sure whether it's worth to listen to me, check those videos I had recorded a good couple of years ago. And they are not at all related to diet. I'm discussing which therapeutic method has a potential of being the most effective in rehabilitating autistic children or many other people with development issues or various mental issues or emotional as well. I don't want you to make tests on your child, but I would like to encourage you to make some tests on yourself before you make a massive test giving your child a big amount of meat. As a mother of an autistic son who is a vegan, and both of us, we've been vegan for approximately 1.5 years, but also before that, we ate meat occasionally. I would rather say in this way. Also, because before we went fully vegan, I had already deliberately cut on protein supply for my son, because I had read before, long time ago, that a high supply of proteins is very dangerous for emotionally unstable people. It's much easier to keep balance of your mood with a lower intake of proteins. And there are reasons for this. You don't have to believe me, just check which amino acids have strong psychoactive effect. There are several of them. Not only amino acids themselves, but also their metabolites. I'm sorry if my vocabulary is wrong, because like I said, I'm non-native speaker, so maybe sometimes something might be wrong about my vocabulary or grammar structure. Apologize for this. But let's get back to the topic. I don't really want to give you a hint today which amino acid you should focus on especially, because I want to avoid placebo effect. I also want to avoid denial, full denial, because if I give you a hint, focus on this one especially, then maybe you will do everything to confirm your own thinking on behalf of, I don't know, maybe being accepted by carnivore community, for example. So please don't expose your child on potential big danger just in name of being accepted by any community. Just test yourself. It is possible to purchase various amino acids separately and test them on yourself. Or maybe even test them on your child before you start giving your child a massive amounts of them in food, in meat especially. Like I said, there are several psychoactive amino acids naturally occurring in food as part of proteins. But we have different proportions of them in animal protein and in plant protein, and I have tested most of them on myself, and I noticed quite strong psychoactive effect of them, but especially one of them, had such a huge, strong and dangerous, potentially dangerous effect that I would compare it to the substance you may know from Breaking Bad series. I bought it legally as a supplement, as food, as amino acid, naturally occurring in food, massively in meat. But I tell you, if I went to the street and tried to sell it to junkies, probably nobody would even realize that I am trying to sell them legal, much cheaper stuff. Maybe some of them would complain, your stuff is not of the highest quality, but I don't think anybody would really realize that this was food. So my statement is that when somebody advises you to feed your autistic child meat, especially massive amount of meat, there is a chance it might be the worst advice you have ever heard in your life. If this is a reasonable amount of meat, I wouldn't warn you, because we need all of those amino acids anyway, and we can get them from plant food in a reasonable amount, not dangerous. Especially people who love beef, they are overdosing. Day by day, they are overdosing highly psychoactive substance, which I may compare to the substance known from Breaking Bad series. Do you know how much devastating it can be for a psyche, especially for a developing psyche of a child? I know, because I know pretty much about psychoactive substances. I'm a musician. I've been related to rock and metal scene for years. I'm still related somehow. You may find my albums on the internet, but it's not about it. I know many people who have been dosing, overdosing, testing all psychoactive substances available. I know the results, I know long-term results, and I know all the stages and effects and side effects. And I am sure if you know such a person who has some knowledge about it, if you showed him or her a video from, for example, Frank Tufano, don't play what he's saying. That's not about it. I'm talking about his behavior, his overall state of mind, something that any junkie will sense instinctively. I am sure many of them will perfectly indicate what kind of substance or which category of substance he is on currently or overusing, because there are several very characteristic symptoms, and you don't need illegal stuff to get this imbalance in your brains. You can get them from food. Of course, you can also be in the state naturally, for example, during big stress or excitement or a mixture of both. But I am afraid that you may expose your child on this imbalance if you will provide him or her with big amounts of meat. You may think, my child is just autistic. He has no problem with mood. He is well balanced. My child also had no problem with mood when he was a child. He was so cute, so sweet child, always smiling, never problem with his mood, with his emotions. But then he was growing up, and many situations, social situations, were so frustrating for him. He had huge problems with coordinations, like all autistic, or probably most of autistic children do. So as a consequence, he had big problems with sport at school. As a consequence, he had big problems with male friends. They were bullying him. And the consequence is proceeding the next consequence. After all, it is very difficult to control such a child's mood when he's exposed to many very unfriendly comments, situations, attacks. So originally, he may have no mental problem in this direction. I mean, he might not be naturally depressive or anxious or whatever, but because of natural situations, highly frustrating, you may find later on, as your child is growing, you may find it very difficult to stabilize your child's mood. Maybe you will need some antidepressants. Maybe they will cause the further side effects, like they caused in my child's case. So it may be very difficult after all. You will see my son one day. He will appear next to me in another video related to autism, and he will speak for himself. Although English is not his best, it's his fourth language. Our language is Polish. His second language is German. He loves German sounds, so he's quite fluent in German. His next language is Swedish, and English is his fourth language. But he will understand everything I will be speaking, and I hope he will speak for himself as well. So you will see my son himself in person. He's 23 now. Right now he's at work, therefore he cannot be next to me. And he's a very successfully rehabilitated autistic child. I hear advices that I must provide my son with meat, otherwise this or that. But all the psychologists who see him and who know his potential, his natural potential, because he had made so many tests, psychological tests, including IQ tests and various kinds of tests. So knowing his potential and seeing his current state, they can't believe, they say it's a miracle. How he developed. He's now working. He has his passions, interests. He's watching podcasts in several languages. He speaks more or less fluently in some of them. But still some of people advise me that I necessarily must provide him with meat. Moreover, before we went fully vegan, like I said, I had already cut on his protein intake a long time ago. And since that time, I noticed how much easier it was to stabilize his mood. He's so much less explosive, so many less extreme stages or moments. It's so much easier to deal with him and to plan his development and his future, because now we have hope. We see a huge, incredible progress. There is some hope for him. Today I only mentioned amino acids in meat, but you will see there are many more psychoactive substances in meat, not only amino acids. Please check on internet. For example, the phrase, is meat addictive? You will read about several psychoactive substances, about several stimulants. Do you really want to expose your child on stimulants? Are you aware of long-distance effect of stimulants on such a weak psyche? I will get back to the topic in the next video. Like I say, today I don't want to give you too much hint because I want you to buy yourself single amino acids from those psychoactive group and test them on yourself. Don't test it once, because it's very important to test in slightly different dosages, because the same substance can affect you completely different in a small dosage, in medium dosage, in higher dosage. Moreover, it will affect you completely different one day, completely different another day. It's like lottery. Dealing with psychoactive substances is like a lottery. You never know what you may expect, what kind of effect you may expect this way. So don't play this very dangerous game if your child is so delicate. Thank you for your attention. I will be back to the topic. Please subscribe and please check also my previous old videos about autism. I shot them several years ago, so maybe even my English was less fluent than now, but I promise I will get back to all aspects of the issue soon. Thank you very much and see you again.